There are so many green powders on the market right now. You've talked about spirulina and chlorella.
It's true, we're inundated with products, and I think it's really hard for the consumer to navigate what's out there. But when a superfood formula is selling you 50 or 70 or 100 different ingredients, derivatives from all sorts of different plants, it's not necessarily disclosing how many of those grams or micrograms are included and whether or not they're an effective dose. There's a sort of mystery around proprietary blends where companies don't have to disclose exactly what the nutrients are. They can sort of get away with broad sweeping brand statements. We, as a small company, have the luxury of owning the pond to pouch process where we rigorously test Zevo Life. We're a single source operation, so we only grow Zevo Life in the pristine desert plains of Peru. But we also have it tested here in the USA to match those really rigorous standards. What you're getting when you receive your pack of Zevo is the purest, cleanest, most nutrient potent version of the plant that we can possibly produce.
Hey everyone, this is Jonathan Marks from Go To Health. Welcome back. I hope you're doing well today. We've got a show today on one of my favorite topics, which is nutrition and how nutrition can improve our life. You may be suffering from poor gut health, bloating, irregularity, chronic inflammation, maybe compromised immunity, low energy levels, and brain fog. Our modern diets tend to be low in fiber, micronutrients, and plant-based diversity, and we want to talk about how to improve your health today with new plant nutrition. In a crowded space of green powders and superfood blends, why do we need another one? We've got a product that's new and different, and I wanted to share it with you. We're talking with Jo Colin. She's the co-founder of Zevo Life. She's dedicated to transforming wellness through sustainable nutrition. Zevo Life, which is her product, is a one-of-a-kind functional food. It's 100% Klebsiella flacidum, which is a rare and exclusive microalgae strain that's millions of years old. It's now available for human nutrition for the first time. Zevo Life delivers unmatched nutrient density in a pure whole plant form to support energy, gut health, and immunity, and overall vitality. You can learn more at zevo.life, and if you decide to buy, you can get a 20% discount when you enter the code GTH at checkout. That's GTH for Go To Health. And by the way, we're building a community of people who care about living well, aging better, and showing up for their health every day. If that's you, please tap the 5 stars on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, or wherever you listen to us, and help others join our community too. Thanks so much for your support. So, welcome to the show, Jo Colin. How are you today?
I'm really good. How are you, Jonathan?
Good, I'm wonderful. So let's start with the big picture. There seems to be increasing talk and realization about gut issues and inflammation and fatigue. What do you think's driving that?
It's a great question, Jonathan. I literally read recently that last year the search term gut health set an all-time new worldwide record. So it's
Yes.
really at the forefront of everybody's mind. And it's not something new. We can go back 2,500 years to where Hippocrates is believed to have said, all disease begins in the gut. And I think ever since then, we have visited the gut, we've understood it. Even in medieval times, they had an understanding of how the gut functioned and what our intestines, signified and the role that they played. But I think if we fast forward to sort of the modern era and in a trajectory that's ever in an upward curve, people are more interested in their gut health because there are more people like you who are putting out valuable information. Our conversations around our health are not restricted to the doctor's office or an encyclopedia. There's information everywhere, and there really are fantastic spokespeople for the gut. Somebody like Dr. Stephen Gundry, who has a podcast, who's still an active physician who sees patients all the time. But I think we're suffering from digestive issues. We understand better things like the gut-brain axis, which is not a new concept, but
Yes.
we now understand that stress impacts the gut microbiome. we understand that the gut microbiome and our microbiome actually is much more than just our gut. And even when we talk about our gut, if we laid flat our intestines, it would cover, and the research differs on this, but 1 to 2 tennis courts. So it represents a huge part of our body. And we now know, I think, better than ever, that lots of our systems are regulated in the gut. Our immune system, I think 80% of our immune system is housed in the gut. Our mood is regulated in the gut. We even have a better understanding of how gut bacteria sort of operate and control mind function. So they drive us towards certain cravings. So if we have the unhealthy bad bacteria in our gut, we're more inclined to reach for sugary, fatty, junky, processed foods. Whereas when we tip the balance and we're feeding our gut the bacteria that helps it to create those short chain fatty acids and do that fermentation process that's really important, we're going to go and naturally get a big salad for lunch rather than a hamburger.
Right. I want to confirm everything Joe has just said. I worked for 5 years on a project in Europe where 18 university hospitals were studying the relationship between what you eat, your lifestyle, and your mental health. So it was all about the gut-brain connection. And as Joe just said, yes, the stress in your life can affect what's going on in your gut, and your gut can really help with your mental awareness if it's in good shape. So let's talk about your product, Joe. Zevo Life. What is Zevo Life? Tell us what it is.
So Zevo Life, Jonathan, thank you for asking, is essentially a microalgae. We're familiar with spirulina and chlorella. For decades now, there hasn't really been a new microalgae that's arrived in the market. There have been some, and they tend to be more similar to spirulina and chlorella. Zevo Life belongs in a different algae category of its own. It's a one of its kind. The ingredient in Zevo Life is 100%, and it's a mouthful, Klebsiella flacidum. The short recent history of Klebsiella flacidum is in the 1930s, scientists and doctors became interested in communities living around a lake in the Alps in Germany and Switzerland.
Hmm.
And they recognized that these communities around this lake suffered from zero autoimmune disease. The lake water was studied, and decades later, and this is why we have a proprietary patented strain, it was identified that the key thing that people were benefiting from in the lake was this microalgae called Klebsiella flacidum.
Hmm.
Just to give you a little bit of history, we won't spend too long. We could talk about this for hours. Back hundreds and hundreds of millions of years ago, this is believed to be the link between aquatic plants, so something like a spirulina, which is a cyanobacteria, and the precursor to land plants. So Klebsiella flacidum colonized land. It decided that it was doing great photosynthesizing its little heart out in water and aquatic areas, regions, but it recognized that there were more nutrients to be had on land. And if we understand a little bit about bioadaptation and the evolutionary process, survival of the fittest, this particular strain of microalgae is believed to have become exceedingly nutrient dense as it colonized nutrients on land and ultimately became the precursor to the plants that we recognize today. So you have to go back hundreds of millions of years to its origins, but you only have to go back to sort of the 1930s to see that correlation between this particular strain of microalgae and how beneficial it is, and humans taking it who were experiencing extraordinary health benefits.
Wow, so this is kind of a mind blower. I always learned in school about, the first fish or reptiles or whatever that crawled onto the land. And you're now describing this as algae and plants that actually moved from a water environment onto the land. That's incredible. I didn't know that process took place. So it's figured out how to survive on land. And the surviving on land, what benefits did that give us because it learned to survive on land?
I think to narrow it down to sort of simplify it, it just developed a much more robust and comprehensive nutrient profile. We could look at the different kinds of things that survived on land UV radiation, having to understand how not to just get burned and frazzled in the sun. So incredibly high levels of vitamin A, for example. It developed something that's more recognized to be belonging to higher plants, so a vascular system. It still is a photosynthesizing organism, but it's a multicellular organism compared to something like spirulina, those cyanobacteria that are the original microorganisms on Earth that are a single cell bacteria. So more complex, going through bouts of starvation and things like freezing temperatures, or as I've said, boiling hot, burning temperatures.
Hmm.
It's a bit like winter kale. You know the story about winter kale? If you keep your garden vegetables in the ground, sort of through the fall and into the winter, they concentrate their nutrients because they have to fight harder to maintain their nutrient profile to feed the plant. To me, it's a little bit similar to that.
Right. Got it. So, there are so many green powders on the market right now. You've talked about spirulina and chlorella. What makes Zevo different?
It's true, we're inundated with products, and I think it's really hard for the consumer to navigate what's out there. And my recommendation is if you've found something that's working for you, then keep on taking it. But I think we have to be ever more careful about pixie dust. I don't know if you're familiar with the idea of pixie dust, but when a superfood formula is selling you 50 or 70 or 100 different ingredients, derivatives from all sorts of different plants, it's not necessarily disclosing how many of those grams or micrograms are included and whether or not they're an effective dose. There's a sort of mystery around proprietary blends where companies don't have to disclose exactly what the nutrients are and what the benefits are. They can sort of get away with broad sweeping brand statements. And I think the other thing that we have to be really careful about is traceability. Where are ingredients from? Where are they grown? How closely are they monitored? And how rigorously are they tested? And I think we as a small company have the luxury of owning the pond to pouch process where we rigorously test Zevo Life. We rigorously test how we grow it. We're a single source operation, so we only grow Zevo Life and we only process Zevo Life in our laboratories. And then we rigorously make sure that our testing that we do initially is backed by third-party testing. So we grow this in Peru, in the pristine desert plains of Peru, but we also have it tested here in the USA to match those really rigorous standards. So we have really zero tolerance for mold or heavy metals or any of those toxins that can be found, sadly, in things where there's just less rigor. And we're not mass produced, so we can sort of approach this with a more artisanal way to farm and hand dry. We also dry at really low temperatures. I think you probably know, based on your body of work, that when you take something that has really important bioactive compounds, especially phyto compounds, but you dry at high heat, you'd essentially destroy
Yeah.
the efficacy of those vitamins and those minerals, and then those things like the antioxidants and so forth. So again, we're very lucky because we're able to take our time and we dry this very carefully. And what you're getting when you receive your pack of Zevo is the purest, cleanest, most nutrient potent version of the plant that we can possibly produce.
Good. So let me give people the place to go to buy this or learn more. And we also have a special 20% discount because you're listening on Go to Health. So if you go to zevo.life, Zivo, zevo.life, and when you decide to purchase, you can enter the code GTH at checkout and you'll get a 20% discount. And that GTH stands for Go to Health. So again, if you go to zevo.life, you can get a 20% discount when you enter the code GTH. Good. So I'm curious, where did the name Zevo come from?
That's a great question, Jonathan. The name of the microalgae species is Klebsiella flacidum. This particular strain was the one that has been studied since the 1930s. And so the process of the research meant we were able to extract the most nutrient-dense expression of Klebsiella flacidum. And so the proprietary part of this is we identified its most nutrient dense, if you imagine its sort of most healthy, most robust version of itself. And that is variety ZL01. And
Hmm.
so originally that was nicknamed Zevo. And so we took the name Zevo Life to be able to get it out to customers today.
Good. So when people take Zevo Life, and this comes as how would you describe it? Comes in packets, and what's in the packet, and what do you do with the packet when you open it?
Yeah, so it comes in either a 100-gram packet with the loose green powder just loose in the packet by itself, or it
Mhm.
comes as a 30-day supply of stick packs because people really were asking, our customer base were really asking for the convenience of a stick pack on the go. It's just the microalgae, so it's as I've described, there's nothing else added to it. It's 100% Klebsiella flaccidum var ZL01, aka Zevo Life. It's a green powder that doesn't have the typical microalgae flavor. It's quite mild compared to the microalgae that people might be more familiar with. It doesn't really have that heavy marine taste. It's got a much more mild taste, and it also doesn't have a viscous, gelatinous texture. Some people struggle a little bit with the texture of some other microalgae that they may be familiar with. And this one just tends to mix really well. It's quite light, it mixes well in water. But you can also add it to a smoothie or take it with your daily electrolyte, for example. We have a lot of our customers who add it to food. It's a plant, it's a whole food, so you can mix it with your overnight chia seeds, or if you're taking something like soup or yogurt or a matcha latte. It's very versatile. So we're fortunate in that sense. And what's really peculiar about it, and we don't really know why, it tends to adapt to the other flavor profile you take with it. So
Hmm.
if you took a glass of water and squeezed some lemon juice and added Zevo, you will predominantly taste those drops of lemon juice. You won't necessarily taste the Zevo Life anymore.
Got it. So tell me, who is Zevo Life for, and what can it do for them? And I know this is based upon customer testimonials, so tell us about that.
Absolutely. I think our very first customer testimonial was from a gentleman who sadly had been very, very sick during the COVID-19 pandemic. He was still suffering something like 2 years later from intense long COVID symptoms. And he created a video testimonial for us because he was really blown away after just a few days of taking Zevo Life. His brain fog had completely lifted. He felt like a different person. He felt as if he had returned to his former health. And then what was lovely, several months later, we received another video testimonial, this time from his wife. And she had been suffering for several years from nothing to do with COVID-19, but she had developed bronchiectasis, which is quite serious lung disease.
Hmm.
It's believed to be something that's a complication from pneumonia, where the infection in your lungs just will not go away. And she made a video testimonial and said, look, I've been skeptical. My husband has been banging on about Zevo Life now, and I've finally been taking it, and my bronchiectasis is better, healed. The symptoms have gone away. Now, is that Zevo Life? No, I don't think so. But here's where Zevo Life is quite magical. It's a prebiotic. It's high in beta glucans and polyphenols that help feed the beneficial bacteria in our gut that then create the flora, that microbiota, that microbiome that reduces inflammation, boosts our immune system, and helps us absorb the nutrients in our food. So I think we have this sort of trifecta going on with Zevo Life, where, as I've just said, it's a prebiotic that gets through the gastric and digestive enzymes. It really does get into the gut with those polyphenols and beta glucans. The fermentation process is able to take place in the gut, and the downstream benefits from that are numerous. We have people who just experience a wonderful surge in physical and mental energy, and they experience a balance in their mood. And as you know, you're an expert more than I am in that particular area of gut health,
Mhm.
where our serotonin levels can actually sort of get balanced out. For me as a female, it's really helped to balance my hormones, which of course is essential for female health. Our female customers also experience much healthier hair and nails and
Hmm.
skin. So
Hmm.
we just had somebody recently send us a before and after testimonial where they had been suffering from really severe, debilitating psoriasis on their and dermatitis that had gone sort of from the neck up and had affected their face. And after about a month of taking Zevo Life, that skin condition had completely tamped down and then was showing signs of disappearing altogether. She looked 10 years younger, which we were really touched by that. All kinds of benefits. We know that people feel better after their physical exertion. So again, that inflammation that you might experience after a really heavy workout, or if your job requires a lot of physical activity, people tend to feel that they recover quicker and better. Again, watching that inflammation sort of tamp down and even out and get more balanced. Sleep. We've had people who work, especially in the medical field, they're on their feet all day, they're working really long shifts. When they go to bed at night, the mind is still churning, the body is really tired. They don't get necessarily that rest that they need. So we've had a lot of doctors and nurses tell us that this has really helped their recovery and improve their sleep and then give them more energy during the day, which is another really wonderful piece of taking Zevo. We're very humbled by the testimonials we receive.
Good. And this is just pure microalgae. There are no blends, there's no filler, there's no sweetener. It's just the microalgae itself.
It's just the microalgae itself. We were asked early on, were we going to add stevia or were we going to add anything else? Especially we grow in Peru, Latin America, South America has a plethora of incredible Amazonian fruits and medicinal mushrooms and everything else. Anyone is welcome to mix Zevo Life with whatever they wish. But we wanted to make sure that people were able to get hold of just the 100% pure, unadulterated microalgae. So that's how we sell it.
Great. And this is the first plant that moved from water to on land. I mean, boy, if you're taking this, you're really taking a historic plant. This is incredible.
It is. When we started out, I kind of was almost wanting to scream from the rooftops. This is a significant botanical event, because to bring something back from hundreds of millions of years ago and make it available, it really feels like a gift from nature. And trust me, Jonathan, I've been sometimes in tears receiving testimonials from some of our customers and it's not, ego, it's just so humbling to be the intermediary. I'm just a steward of this plant. This plant is doing its own thing. We don't do anything to it. So to be able to sort of bridge the gap between nature and getting it, shipped to people into their homes and then into their bodies, it's just a really wonderful thing to be able to do.
So, Joe, what question haven't I asked? Or what would you like to leave people with as a final message?
Well, your questions have been wonderful, Jonathan. Thank you. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be on Go to Health and talk to you. I love the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think I'd say really if somebody's looking to feel better generally, if they're taking multivitamins, they're taking other superfoods, but they're not feeling like it's moving the needle, they're not really experiencing just improved vitality, I would say give Zevo Life a try. That's generally what our customers tell us. They've checked a box by taking the vitamins and minerals and nutrition powders that we've mentioned so far. But if you haven't felt a significant improvement in your sort of baseline foundational well-being, then maybe Zevo Life is worth a shot. And I'm certainly not advocating that everybody discard the things that they're already taking.
Mm-hmm.
Just feeling a bit, out of sorts, and you're looking for something that just might make that difference for you, improve your gut health and all of the wonderful follow-on things from that, then yeah, give Zevo Life a try. And we also offer a money-back guarantee. So if you take it and you really don't experience anything or it's not for you, we're happy to refund you. No risk.
That's really putting your commitment behind the product. That's wonderful. Joe, thanks so much for being with us today. It's been great to talk with you and to learn more about Zevo.
I really appreciate you, Jonathan. Thank you for the opportunity.
Good. We've been talking with Jo Cohen. She's the co-founder of Zevo Life, and she's dedicated to transforming wellness through sustainable nutrition. Zevo Life is a one-of-a-kind functional food, 100%, and let me see if I can say this, Klebsiormidium flacidum. Did I say that?
Perfect.
Okay, good. It's a rare and exclusive microalgae strain that's millions of years old, yet it's available now for human nutrition for the first time. You can go to zevo.life, and when you go there, you can get a 20% discount when you enter the code GTH at checkout. That's GTH for Go to Health. Again, Joe, thanks so much for being with us. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Thank you so much.
We're building a community of people who are about living well, aging better, and showing up for their health every day. If that's you, Please tap the 5 stars on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, or wherever you listen to us, and help others join our community too. Thanks so much in advance for your support. This has been Jonathan Marks with Go to Health. And remember, as we say at the end of every show, go to health. God bless. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in today to Go to Health. You are one of almost 10,000 people per day who enjoy the evidence-based health information offered by our guest health experts. You can watch us on our website and YouTube and listen to us on 8 podcast networks. Be sure to join Jonathan Marks in our upcoming shows each week. If you like our show, please share this episode with your friends and colleagues. You can subscribe to the show, join our email list, send us feedback, browse through the online store, and view our library of over 150 shows at gotohealthmedia.com. See you next time, and remember to elevate your life with Go to Health.